It was just after dawn in Zinder, a quiet town nestled in the heart of Niger. Women were setting up small stalls for the morning market. Children played near the edges of dusty roads. Life was beginning as usual, until the earth trembled. An explosion thundered through the town. It came from a convoy, military trucks transporting oil field workers. In seconds, everything was chaos. Smoke, flames, cries for help, and blood. At least 14 people were killed, including Chinese engineers and Nigerian soldiers. The group claiming responsibility? A little-known terrorist faction operating in the Sahel. But what shocked the world wasn't just the violence, it was what came next. 1 week after the attack, a secret report from Nigerian intelligence was leaked. It revealed something unthinkable. The group behind the bombing had allegedly received funding, not from a radical imam or some rogue state, but from Chinese operatives. Yes, China. The same China that had signed a massive oil deal with Niger just a year earlier. The same China that had promised infrastructure, development, and partnership. The same China that was supposed to be Africa's new friend. What happened? And more importantly, why? The man who blew the whistle was not a journalist or a foreign spy. He was a soldier. A loyal Nigerian. A man known for his silence. Until now. General Amadou Tani, the former head of Niger's border defense unit, stood before a gathering of reporters in Niamey. His eyes were tired. His voice, hoarse. But his words changed everything. The Chinese oil deal was never about development, he said. It was about control. And to secure control, they funded those who could destabilize the regions they could not easily access, terrorists. Shock ran through the crowd. He continued, we intercepted communications. Tracked money. The funds came from Chinese-linked accounts routed through France, Nigeria and Côte d'Ivoire, then transferred to armed groups in northern Niger. According to General Tani, these payments were strategic. They were made to disrupt Western oil competitors, sow instability in areas with large local resistance, and force the Nigerian military to rely more on Chinese private security. In other words, chaos was profitable. Before we proceed, here is a reminder to like this video, drop a comment and subscribe to our channel so that you can get more videos like this. To understand how we got here, we must go back to 2022. That was when China signed a $4.6 billion oil deal with Niger. The plan was simple, build a 2,000-kilometer pipeline connecting Niger's oil-rich Agadem Basin to the Beninese port of Seme-Benin. China would get cheap oil. Niger would get jobs, infrastructure, and revenue. At least, that's what was promised. But by mid-2023, local communities were complaining. The oil fields were heavily guarded by foreign mercenaries. Villages were relocated without compensation. Environmental destruction poisoned rivers and crops. Still, President Mohamed Bazoum, before being ousted, kept defending the deal. Then came the coup. Then came General Abdourahmane Tiani. And with him, a wave of new revelations. Tiani, backed by Pan-African military leaders and regional allies like Burkina Faso's Traoré and Mali's Goïta, began investigating Niger's international agreements. What he found horrified him. Not only had China used its deal to infiltrate the state's economic and security systems, but there were now signs they were playing both sides of the war. Funding terrorists to destabilize the region while pretending to offer peace through investment. This isn't just about oil. It's about control. Africa has always been the board where world powers play chess. First came Europe with its empires and armies. Then America with its corporations and sanctions. Now, China with its contracts and construction. But here's the trick, every empire learns from the last. Unlike the West, China didn't arrive in Africa with guns. It came with briefcases. It offered loans, roads, railways. No lectures about human rights. No strings, they said. But those strings were just hidden deeper. Today, Niger is discovering what many African nations are waking up to. China's rise is not Africa's liberation. If we don't stay vigilant, it might just be the next colonial trap. From Mali to Chad, from Burkina Faso to Niger, the Sahel is at war. But this is not a war of ideology. It's not about Islam versus the West. It's not about tribes. It's about resources. Gold, uranium, oil, rare earth metals. Beneath the red soil of the Sahel lies wealth that could change Africa forever. But instead of prosperity, it has brought pain. Why? Because foreign powers are using the oldest trick in the book, divide and rule. Western intelligence backs certain regimes and mercenary forces. Eastern powers like China, and in some cases Russia, support alternative power structures. Arms flow freely. Terrorist groups appear, disappear, mutate. And in the middle? Ordinary Africans. Dying. This has to stop, and stop now. The idea of foreign countries using terror as a tool is not new. But in the Sahel, it has reached a terrifying scale. A confidential report from the Pan-African Intelligence Task Force allegedly shared with Trending News Plus found that in the last 3 years, over 70% of terrorist incidents in the Sahel occurred near major resource extraction zones. More than 40% of funding for these groups came from anonymous offshore accounts connected to shell companies in Asia and the Middle East. Many attacks were suspiciously timed to coincide with negotiations between governments and foreign investors. It's as if terror has become a bargaining chip. A way to shake the table before signing the deal. Or worse, a method of clearing out local resistance before building the next oil rig. Ask yourself, who profits when Niger is unstable? Not the Nigerian people. Not the farmers, the traders, or the teachers. Not the soldiers fighting on the front lines. But foreign oil companies? Absolutely. Private security firms? Yes. Black market arms dealers? Definitely. And most dangerously, foreign governments seeking to own the future of African energy. General Tani's testimony made it clear, China is not alone. The West does it too. They just use different tools. But they all want the same thing, Africa's resources without Africa's resistance. But here's the good news. Africa is no longer sleeping. In the Sahel, a new generation of Pan-African leaders is rising. Men like Captain Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso, Colonel Assimi Goïta of Mali, General Abdourahmane Tiani of Niger. These leaders may not be perfect, but they are not puppets. They are pushing out French troops, ending one-sided contracts, and now, questioning China's motives. The recent joint declaration by the Sahel Alliance is historic. For the first time in modern African history, 3 sovereign nations have formed a united front, not based on Western aid or Chinese money, but on African solidarity. Can Africa develop without foreign masters? Absolutely. Look at Ethiopia's homegrown industrial parks. Look at Rwanda's tech sector. Look at Burkina Faso's national gold refinery project. The future of African development is not aid, it's sovereignty. Imagine if Niger controlled 100% of its oil. Imagine if the revenues stayed in Zinder, not Beijing. Imagine if African engineers built the pipelines, not foreign contractors. This is not a fantasy. It's a vision. A roadmap. And it starts with truth. There are rumors that international actors want him silenced. That his revelations have upset too many powers. But his final words to Trending News Plus were these. Africa must stop looking for saviors. China is not our savior. The West is not our savior. We are our own saviors. If we allow foreign powers to play both arsonist and firefighter, funding terrorism and then offering security, we will never be free. Epilogue, a new dawn or a new trap? The story of Niger is still being written. But the question we must ask is this. Will this be the story of another African betrayal? Or the beginning of African rebirth? Will we keep selling our future for short-term deals? Or will we rise, united, strong, and sovereign? The flames of Zinder still burn in our memory. But from those ashes, a fire of resistance is growing.